let us get into the WTA Finals review. What a tournament. I mean, before we jump in, before we talk about winners, losers, crowds, no crowds, whatever, just in general, what were your feelings this year, I think, for the WTA Finals? Like, just a quick kind of maybe one sentence, this is what I thought of the WTA Finals.
Right, okay. Are you talking about the vibe of the event or the tennis?
The tennis.
Okay, one sentence thoughts are, oh gosh, I'm like, why use one word when five will do? So I would say in one sentence, it would be the tennis was really good and got better as it went on. Like, it was a slower start than expected, but once the tournament got going, we saw these great matchups that we were excited for play out. And by the time we got to the semi-finals, it really started to peak.
I have to agree with you because, I would say, if I was to just sort of condense that, it was like slow start, big finish. It definitely started slow, but boy, oh boy, did those balls want to get back in the can in that final match. They were like, please put us back. We don't want to participate in this match.
They were utterly destroyed by both players in that final within minutes.
Yeah, it was totally. Oh, it was so good. But, let's get into it, talk about everything and each player. And, let's start, I think, with the two players that were sort of eliminated right away for two separate reasons, I think. And we're going to start with the singles first before we jump into the doubles. Jasmine Paolini and Madison Keys. I think, unfortunately, at this tournament, Jasmine Paolini was just sick, right? So we didn't really get a true sense, maybe, of what she could do. Do you think?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah. And with Madison Keys, I think she was just gone for so long. And I just feel like I really didn't expect anything from her this tournament. And we didn't really get anything from her this tournament. I think she was still sort of in the recovery from injury mode. And you know what? This is actually a question for you, because did you finally get to see her new serve? And what are your thoughts?
No, because Madison pulled out before her third match.
Yeah.
So just for context, I had to miss kind of the very beginning of the tournament for one reason or another. So I was looking forward to seeing this serve finally that we've been talking about. And then an hour before the match with Rybakina, it was like, oh no, it's Alexandrova playing. It was like, well, I guess we'll see if this serve is still a thing in Australia.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's going to be an interesting thing. I would, just for research purposes, you should totally just go back and maybe watch a game or two of the replays just to see what it is, because I've heard differing reasonings from people. I don't think we've heard directly from Madison why she's serving this way. I've heard the part where it's just sort of to shorten the swing, creates more power. I've heard maybe it's probably to prevent injury. And I think the only reason I keep harping on this is Madison Keys had such a beautiful serve. She had such a strong, beautiful serve. So the reasoning, why change it? It's like, why change something that isn't broken is tough to understand. So we'll see how she shows up in Australia. But yeah, so those are the two players that were eliminated early.
I would definitely listen to her next podcast that she does, because she's got one with Jen Brady and a couple of others. I reckon she'll talk about it on there when they next do an episode.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, you're so right. I'm going to bookmark that. Totally should listen to the next episode of, it's called The Players Box is their podcast. So I'll definitely check that one out. And then I would say, okay, so then the next group of players who did not make the semis. So that would be Iga Świątek and Coco Gauff. Iga Świątek and Coco Gauff are the other two players that didn't make the semifinals. And again, I think, for two separate reasons. With Coco Gauff, I think she's in this sort of rebuilding phase, trying to rebuild her game. And yes, she's a defending champion. And you know what, Nick? This is actually a very interesting conversation I want to have with you, because Coco Gauff, throughout sort of this Asian swing end of the year, when she's been asked in press, how are you taking this end of the year? And she's multiple times, she said, it's just practice, just, I'm taking it easy and no pressure. And I remember watching her last match and just seeing how devastated and upset she was from that performance and from that loss. And what do you think? Do athletes just tell themselves that or tell the press that to kind of take the pressure off themselves? And when I say that, I mean they basically just say, "Oh, no, I'm not taking it seriously. It's just practice." But clearly, they're taking it very seriously.
I don't see how they can't take it seriously. This is their job and they are super competitive people. Like,
Yeah.
do I think what Coco means is that she's not taking it as seriously as she would be if she was trying to win a Grand Slam?
Mm.
Or, you know, I think it's like levels of seriousness to it. It's not like, oh, it's just practice, I don't care. But like, she's still trying to learn something, she's still trying to gain something. And when she's out on court, if she thinks she can win, she can go for it. And again, I only watched one of Coco's matches, and that was the one with Aryna. And I thought Coco was like standing up to Aryna pretty well, at least after the first set and a bit.
Yeah.
First set or so was up in that tie break they had. Like, it was a close set they played. And I think, if Coco was like getting beat down by Aryna and things weren't working, I don't think she would have been super, super upset. But I think when she knew she was in the match, if she's in the match, then there's just something about her going, no, I could win this. And I thought she looked okay, actually. I thought that, again, it was one of those pretty standard sort of, yes, Aryna won in straight sets, but Coco made it a competitive straight sets match, a bit like Madrid earlier this year. That
Yeah.
they had, or that Australian Open semi they had last year. It looked pretty normal for one of their rivalries. So watch out, Aryna, if Coco starts trying, if I guess.
Exactly. And we will totally actually come back to that when we kind of wrap up and look forward to next year, because man, the WTA next year is going to be so, so good. I think it's going to be so exciting. But okay, and then we had Iga go out as well. And again, the same sort of thing where you see how much passion these athletes have for
Mm.
the sport. They're not satisfied with just doing okay or not getting all the way to the end. And, so uh, who did Iga play? Oh, Amanda Anisimova was her
Yeah.
last match, right? And Amanda seems to have figured out this matchup that she now has with Iga Świątek, even though, and we'll get to Amanda later, she did not really light up as much as I thought she would at this tournament. But for Iga, I think just like Coco, maybe in a different way, but just like Coco, she is in a rebuilding phase as well. She has a new coach, she's learning new methods, and I don't think it's been as talked about as Coco, where it's so specific with the forehand and the serve and everything. But I think Iga is still going through that phase as well. I think it was, his name is James Hansen. I think he's the editor in chief of The Athletic. And he wrote something on Twitter. If I find it, I'll post it in the video or link it below. And I thought it was so astute where, he was sort of like, look, we're going to get performances like this or results like this from Iga as she's rebuilding her game. Like, it's not just going to be sort of like a straight line graph up in an upward direction, because nothing is in life really. So it was very interesting. And what I do want to talk to you, Nick, about, I don't know if you saw this, but it was one of those moments where I thought, the internet just doesn't get sarcasm or nuance or anything. But Iga was interviewed at the end of her match, and she said something along the lines like, oh, I guess I'm not winning all these big titles or more matches and stuff because I did so well and I was winning so much last year.
Yes, the karma.
The calmer thing. It is so clear that is sarcasm and just sort of like a fun statement.
Yeah, but
Too many people took that seriously.
because she says it in such a flat, dry way. Like, there's no kind of eye roll or wink about it. It's
Yeah.
kind of flat as it is, very dry. And a lot of people don't get dry. Like, you have to take a
Yeah.
step back and think, hang on, are you being serious? And then when you're kind of talking about something like that people take seriously, like a sport, or like talking about your job, unless there's other people you work with, it's going to be a different sort of reactions. I mean, I just I didn't necessarily take it as sarcasm. I just took it as, oh well, like I don't like that I lost, but it's not going to kill me. Like she's
Yeah,
kind of she's processing the loss well, and I think she should, because the Elena match aside, the Amanda match, she was still in it right to the end. Like she had love 30 at 4-2, Amanda serving with two great returns. Like if she capitalized on that, she could have broken back and have been 4-3 in the deciding set, and it would have been a very different match at that point. But I think Iga didn't break back, Amanda held, and then I think it was just the match went from there. Iga was in this but she didn't win it. She went, well, I was kind of in the mix, and positives to take for next year in that, like, she can still compete at the top. Would she like to win? Yes. Is she going to start winning again? Probably. And to your point
yeah,
about the rebuilding phase, I think it's not talked about because it's old news. Like, we were talking about what Infosat was going to do to Iga Świątek's game this time last year. Coco Gauff's rebuilding started in August this year.
hmm
So realistically, I guess it's down to patience. Like, surely it shouldn't take a year, right? That seems to be the vibe. It's like, is it rebuilding? Shouldn't the project be kind of where it should be now? And I just say that, look, I don't know whether it's rebuilding the game or not. Maybe we're pretty close to what Iga Świątek needs to do, and she needs to settle into it. But again, I'm going to keep going. Like, countless top players throughout history have slightly less successful years. And by the way, a slightly less successful year for Iga is still 3 titles. So, including a Grand Slam, like, how many off years did Sharapova or Enan or, dare I say, Venus and Serena have? Like, where they didn't win
yep,
as much and then came roaring back. So, not saying that's Iga, but I don't necessarily think that you should panic yet. 2 years maybe, but not one. That's kind of where I'm at. She's still up there. She's still competitive. And I think if some things had gone slightly differently for her this tournament, she'd have made the semi-finals.
yeah, yeah, totally. No, I agree. I agree. I don't know. I just thought, and maybe because I love dry humor. Like
Yeah.
I love when people stick to the bit. Like she was
Yes.
so serious. She didn't wink. She didn't like ha ha ha. No, she just like and I was like, you should get that. But anyway, it was too smart. Ego was being too smart. Okay, next two that were eliminated after that were Amanda Anisimova and Jessica Pegula. They were eliminated in the semifinal round. And I think coming into this, I remember when, we did our episode where we previewed the WTA finals. And when we were posting, the promo for the episode in the social, I asked people in the chats and stuff. And I was like, hey, who do you think is the favorite to win the WTA finals? And I think I remember texting you this. The majority of people replying to us was Amanda Anisimova. Everyone was like Amanda Anisimova. And it made sense. She had the most time off. She seemed relaxed and and rested. She was the first one to get to Riyadh to sort of adjust to the conditions. She was practicing so early. So I expected Amanda Anisimova to come out of the gates like just hot. Kind of like we said in the beginning, the WTA finals just started so flat. You were like, wait, what happened, Amanda? Like, where is the Amanda that we thought was going to take over and win this title? And she just never felt comfortable or settled, really, this tournament.
I think she took a while to settle. I think that's
Yeah.
probably the key here, because you're right. She loses to Rybakina in the first match. She drops a set to Keys, who wasn't well, and then has to come back from a set down. And then I think we started seeing more. We actually saw the Amanda we might be expected to see against her two, on paper, toughest challenges, which is Iga and Aryna.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a good match with Iga. And I thought the Aryna match was really good. Like, I watched it with a friend that doesn't, I'm getting into tennis. And we were gripped by the Aryna Amanda match. Although he really struggled to pronounce her last name. Anisimova's last name. This is my Hong Kong friend, and could not get his tongue round like those first
Anisimova.
couple of syllables. So we had to settle on Amanda. But yeah, so Anisimova, I thought like it was such a good match. They were really taking it on, and I thought, Amanda did really, really well in that match. And it was really like a couple of games towards the end of the sets that she lost, where she kind of went off the boil, that kind of sealed it. And that's kind of what you get with Amanda sometimes, is that sort of up and downness. And we'll come to Aryna in a minute, but that is the challenge that Aryna sets, that you have to be on your game right to the end to beat her. And some days Amanda can do it and some days she can't. And I don't think that's reflective on the tournament. I just think she got a while to get going. But once she got going, she looked like the player that we thought could win it. Because like I was on the she ticks a lot of the boxes. The last 2 years, the Beijing champions won the WTA Finals. She won Beijing. She's had the best. I thought she had the best kind of compromise of rest and kind of match prep, but clearly that wasn't the case, because guess what, guys? Aryna Sabalenka is really, really good. And we'll get to
Yeah.
her in a minute. But that's where I led with it, was just Aryna was just slightly better on the day. Had Amanda watched that match, who knows what would have happened in that final. But that's kind of where I'm at, is that, yeah, she started slow, finished strong, looked like the player we looked at. I want to ask you this, because I think this is a fun question. Which was your... So we've had 3 Aryna Amanda matches the second half of the year. I don't think we've had any more than that.
No.
So the rest of it in 2025. I think we've only had 3 in 2025. Somebody tell
Yes.
us if I'm forgetting one from before Wimbledon. But certainly Wimbledon onwards, we've had 3, which is the Wimbledon semi-final, the US Open final, and this WTA Finals semi-final. Which is your favourite of those 3?
You know what? And it might be so funny to people, but the Wimbledon one is my favorite,
Why do you think that is?
because it was so well. I think people might expect like maybe one of the later ones, like maybe a US Open final or something like that. But I think the Wimbledon one was such a shock and surprise to us, to Aryna Sabalenka. It was just like, what, you know, I think we were all Aryna Sabalenka, where it was like, what is happening? Why am I not winning? What is going on? Like, just watching every facial expression of Aryna Sabalenka in that Wimbledon match was just too much. If you haven't watched that match, guys, go back, because the whole thing, because and we keep saying we will talk about Aryna Sabalenka, but she has this aura of, I am taller, I am stronger, I will win. And when she isn't, she has this sort of like, what is going on? Why are you winning and I am not winning? And I think that Wimbledon match I think that was their first meeting in 2025. I cannot remember an earlier one. And it was such a surprise and shock. And I think it was sort of almost maybe the birth of the current Amanda Anisimova as we know her, as this sort of like top player who gets to the finals of Grand Slams. So that was my favorite.
It's mine
Yeah.
too. Like, similar reasons to you. Like, that sort of big breakout moment at the end of it. That real sense of like Sabalenka being frustrated. I mean, I do think the WTA Finals clash was probably like, it was different in terms of, it felt like 2 heavyweights going toe to toe and then being more treating each other as equals, and there was that kind of vibe to it. But in terms of raw like determination and more of a scrap and more entertainment, the Wimbledon one for me is the one that kind of rises above a little bit. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there, because I think I'm going to be excited for every Amanda Aryna match we're going to have ever now. Like,
Yeah.
that's just a thing now we're going to get.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. The next person is also someone who I think goes so under the radar, especially with a specific matchup. And her name is Jessica Pegula. Jessica Pegula has had such an interesting year, I think, because you could think, wow, Jessica Pegula, she's almost like, you know what? She's almost like the Taylor Fritz of the WTA. She is Mrs. Consistent. She's always there. She's always in the top 4. You can kind of rely on her to get to the second week of things. But at the same time, she lost first round of Wimbledon after winning a title the week before. So I think she's had a very interesting year, but she got to the end, and I think she performed so well in the North American Summer Swing, also through Asia as well. And I think it was just the small margins a little bit in this WTA finals for her. I think of all the players, she's one of the ones I think could probably just go home and say, you know what, I did pretty well. I did my best, and I'm just going to sort of build for next year. At least that's what I think. Let me know what you think. But also, I hope now, from now on, when you see Aryna Sabalenka playing Jessica Pegula, you stop whatever you're doing, people, and you sit down and watch that match. I think it is one of the most underrated rivalries. I've said it now for a few tournaments. It's just so good. They met at the US Open, and then it was in Wuhan, and then now they play incredible matches. Just fun, great tennis matches. But yeah, what did you think about Jessica Pegula this tournament?
I was very pleased to see her performing well because I wasn't sure where she was going to be at
Mm,
this tournament because has been a bit up and down this year, and I'm glad that this tournament was an up for her. So she beats Coco, which is a rivalry that's quite close between them. She beat Jasmine, but everyone beat Jasmine, and and then just pushed Aryna, which she's now doing. She pushed her at the US. She beat her in Wuhan in what probably was one of the best matches of the year, looking back on it. And yeah, I think that she's finally figured out how to redirect Aryna's power better than she was, because she's good at that anyway. But I think she's figured something out in that rivalry to really get into the mix, and I think it's really, really exciting. And yeah, I am one of those people who need to respect Jessica Pegula more because I think I put a post up on social media about, again, we'll probably come back to this, why Aryna Sabalenka is like the common denominator in the best rivalries in women's tennis right now. And I listed her rivalry with Świątek and Gauff and Rybakina and Anisimova, and I missed Pegula. And I got a lot of heat in the replies, quite rightly, for that. So yeah, you have to put Sabalenka Pegula probably on that list now. I think they're going to be, even their two setters are good now, and it has been for a couple of years. So yeah, definitely Pegula kind of proving that she's still there, she's still in the mix. I'd say she's close to the top than Taylor Fritz is. Then on the other side, if you want to end that comparison there, I think she'll come out these WTA finals feeling pretty good. I mean, she was in there with Rybakina. Let's be honest, in that
yeah,
semi-final, she was in it for most of that match. Yeah, she's a contender still for as long as her age will allow her. And that's really, really exciting.
yeah, no, totally. Um,
Should we actually talk about Aryna
Now we're going to.
Sabalenka?
I mean, it's time. It is time to talk
Like,
about Aryna Sabalenka.
how are we going to
The
end up,
run.
like, she didn't even win the tournament. How on earth are we spending so much of this podcast talking about Aryna Sabalenka? But I think you've spent a lot of on your time on social media talking about Aryna Sabalenka.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. And we will talk about two separate things about that because I liked what you posted. And maybe we start there because mine's going to be a little bit of a rant, so I'll leave it till the end. But I love what you posted about Aryna Sabalenka being the common denominator in all of these rivalries and the top of the game of the WTA. And she was the runner up in this tournament. And I want you to kind of like expand on that a little bit because I think it is such a great point to make that she's always there, at least consistently now. It wasn't always like this, but in the last sort of year, 2 years, she's just this consistent force in the WTA.
Yes, she is. And that's why she's the world number one, because unlike Iga, Coco, Amanda, like Amanda didn't show up for the first half of the year. And then now she is consistently in the mix. Elena has only just got going. Jess is up and down throughout the year. Coco's been up and down throughout the year. And Iga kind of got going one big settled. So with Aryna, she's in the mix and she's like, you have to beat Aryna to win a tournament. So it's not just the consistency, but it's the fact that she brings out the best in her rivals because you have to play your best to have a chance. Look at like this. Let's take Wimbledon as an example, where Aryna reached the semi-finals. She had amazing matches for different reasons, with Emma Raducanu, with Marie Boskova. Was it? No, it was Elise Mertens. And then she played Laura Siegemund in what that was a match. And what the common denominator in all those matches, I'm using that phrase again, is all those players brought their best versions of their respective games because they knew they were playing Aryna Sabalenka, and they pushed her. They couldn't beat her, but they pushed her. And that's what Aryna forced you to do. So when she's coming up against her rivals, which, you know, when I made that list, these are legitimately the best players in the game right now, they're the names that will first come to mind as the elite of women's tennis. And there's more room, you know. I didn't mention Jess. I probably should have. I didn't mention Madison. I probably should have. Watch out for Mira Andreeva. You know, she's beaten Aryna a couple of times now. Let's see what happens with her. Vicky and Boko's not played her yet. I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
So but like these specific players, they are the best. And when you're bringing out the best in your opponent and the level the opponent can bring is so good, and the level Aryna brings is so good, that just makes for really great tennis. And so Aryna plus the best in the world is entertaining combination. And that was more the point I was going to make. And that's what makes her the best in the world right now. And that's what she forces, that's what she produces. And, you know, when this is where we can start bringing credit to Elena Rybakina, who won the tournament. And we'll talk more about her story in a moment. But in terms of the match and the final, Elena Rybakina brought her best from start to finish. And that's why Aryna lost. I watched that match going, nobody's playing badly here. Like, Aryna's being challenged, and she doesn't like being challenged, and that's why she's reacting to this. But Elena Rybakina played the most perfect tennis I've probably ever seen her play. And Aryna was putting up quite a fight to it. And that was a really good tennis match, even though it was straight sets. So that is the core of my point, really.
Yeah. No, it was just, I saw your post and I was like, oh, that's so right. Like, that's what has been so exciting, I think, about this year, because it's nice when there's a dominant player in a sport. We get it. It's nice to see that sort of excellence in sport. But I think what makes it even better is when you have challengers to that person, and when those challengers, you know, meet them at that level and can create some beautiful battles. And that's what we've got so far with Aryna Sabalenka and all these other players. And a lot of the times, like you said, she does come out on top. But it's nice seeing sometimes these players, Elena Rybakina, like pretty much all of them, have also then gotten the win over her. And that just creates a great back and forth. And can you solve for that issue? And, you know, it would be interesting to see how she goes back in the off season to sort of try and figure out what she does. Because I think at the end of this tournament, just looking at Aryna Sabalenka, I think where she's at right now is she is the best player in the world. She's number one, year-end finalist, number one, is the top player in the WTA. But I think the thing that we almost find funny watching her deal with, where she's just sort of like, I am big, I am strong, why am I not winning? She almost has to get over that a bit and figure out how she can realize, I guess, that there are going to be people who will figure her out and will be able to beat her. And how does she respond to that?
Also, the bigger I am stronger, I will win. There's going to be, I think there are players now that she can't say that about. She definitely can't say that about Amanda Anisimova, because they are pretty much equal in stature
Yeah.
and in strength. And you
Yeah.
can't say that about Elena Rybakina, because Elena is taller and can hit through Aryna as well. And, you know, the kind of more, it doesn't look like brute strength. It's just this natural pace that comes off Elena's racket that has always bothered Aryna. That's why they always play amazing matches. They have for the last sort of 2-3 years. And I don't think Aryna's surprised when it's Elena. I would hope not. Anyway, by this point in their careers, like if she's going out going, oh yeah, I'm going to overwhelm Elena Rybakina, that's happened literally once, and every single other time she's played her as a battle. I think Aryna's smarter than that. I don't think that's her attitude, but it's still really frustrating to her when she loses. And we saw that at the WTA Finals, where she really had to like work through her emotions with her coaching team straight away, straight after losing that match. I think you were watching a different match at that point, but like she literally sat in the coaching box and had to literally like complain about everything and like get upset, and kind of reminded me of like when she lost in Australia, when she lost at Roland Garros, when she lost Wimbledon, like
Yep.
that sort of. Aryna wears her heart on her sleeve and is sulky when she loses because she doesn't like losing. And like, how can you expect? And like, I think it's like, okay, cool. I don't think she's a sore loser though, because she's not salty about it once she's processed it. But it's just that in the heat of the moment, when it hurts, she lets the rest of the world know that she's hurting. And so I think that's also something we're going to when we think about the image that Aryna Sabalenka kind of produces.
Yeah. 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 Um, and I guess that will bring me then to my last sort of my mini rant and why I was sort of like complaining on the internet, or at least I temporarily became an Aryna Sabalenka stan for a week. And this kind of goes for everything, guys. And this is just, I don't think I completely understand that you can be a fan of a player and not like another player, and that is totally fine. Do you, boo? Like whatever you'd like to do. What I do not like is, and this really comes only with Aryna Sabalenka, I've not really seen it. Well, no, actually, I've seen this sort of thing with Iga Świątek as well, where some people think. Actually, then you also see it with Elena Rybakina, where people take a personality trait
Mm.
and they sort of use that as some sort of attack on a player. They will say Elena Rybakina is too cold, like she doesn't, cheer enough, and you're like, well, that's just her personality. Like she doesn't emote too
Mm.
much. Why do
Yeah.
we want her to be something different than she's not? And then this came from Aryna Sabalenka's grunt. Aryna
Mm-hmm.
Sabalenka has been grunting since I've known her. I've been watching her for years and years and years. She grunts. Is it louder than most? Yes. Has she done it any differently? No. It's the same. It's been the same for years and years and years.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, this tournament, and I get it, but a lot of fans who don't like Aryna Sabalenka and wanted either Amanda Anisimova to win or Coco Gauff to win or Jessica Pegula to win, whoever she was playing, would use that as this attack. And I just feel like, how would you feel as a human if someone took a personality trait of yours that you had no control of, you could not change, the way you looked, your hair, the way you sounded, and then they use that to attack you? And that's what I was saying. Like, are you guys listening to what you're
Mm-hmm.
saying? And if you turn that around on yourself, does that sound okay? And I just want us to be better fans of sport, is all I'm saying. We need to be better fans of sport. Love the sport, love the game, love your favorite player, beautiful posters for them, and all that stuff. That doesn't mean you then need to personally attack their opponent or anyone else and be cruel and mean online. And I know I'm sort of like praying for a perfect world that doesn't exist. But I just don't like seeing that on our feed. And by the way, this is just basically a warning. If you come on Ground Pass and you post any of that, you are blocked. I am a block happy person. I do not give second chances. You are gone. But it is just not the way we should be as fans. It's not what we want to promote as Ground Pass. And I would just want people to think about what they're posting and what they're saying before they do it. I know I'm asking too much, but maybe just give it a try for a second. End of rant.
Just to be clear, are you saying that it's not okay to not like something about a player?
No, it's okay. I mean, you cannot like anything about a player. You can, I feel like there are things about players I do not like. There are players I don't like. I then don't personally attack them. or say mean things about them. We can't like everything. I don't like tomatoes. I actually do not like raw tomatoes. I really don't. Maybe it's a texture thing. I don't know. But you can't like everything. But I'm not going to sort of go on a crusade of hating tomatoes and calling tomatoes names. I just don't think it creates a great atmosphere of, enjoying a sport. And I just feel like every time I almost wanted to like literally delete every single social media app every time I was watching an Aryna Sabalenka match. I was like, why is it just was inundated with these people? And I'm just like, this is no fun. This is no fun at all. So I don't know.
Do you
Food for thought,
think
people.
that goes up when that player's winning?
Yes. Yes. Yes, it really does. And I get it. It's like, they're sort of like, why are you winning? I'm like, I don't know. They play well. They're really good tennis players. Keep it to the tennis, people. But again, let's be better fans. Let's be better humans. We're all humans and we all live on the same planet. And here's the thing, just if you wanna just come down to sort of like the technicalities of things, because also what I hear a lot from people who make those comments online, they're like, oh, it's a hindrance. It's a hindrance. I'm like, Aryna Sabalenka has never once been called for hindrance. The other player's not calling for it. The opponent's not, the umpire's not calling for it. So excuse me, but why are you online on your phone calling for it? You actually don't have any say in the match, but okay. Okie doke. Anyway, on to the winner of this tournament, which I called. People, I will remind you. I remember saying, watch Elena Rybakina be the last one in and the one right there at the end. And she took that seriously. She really took that seriously. And Elena Rybakina is your WTA End of Year Finals winner, champion. And it's just remarkable. I remember posting online, I was like, if you watched her run up to get qualified, I mean, it was some of the most impressive tennis I've seen her play in a very, very long time. So I did for sure have a feeling about it. My only question was, well, she hasn't come against the top players of the world. Like I hadn't seen her play against Aryna. I hadn't seen her play against Amanda Anisimova. So I was sort of like, her tennis looks excellent. I just haven't seen her against the top players. And her tennis stood up to all the top players. She went undefeated. She did not lose a match in this round robin format. So yeah, I mean, you didn't watch most of her matches until the later stages of the tournament. But what did you think of Elena Rybakina this year in final?
Oh, she was great. She was absolutely brilliant this tournament. No kind of issues with how she was performing or anything like that. Like she was excellent, like particularly in the final, but also in the way she compares herself to come back against Pegula in the semis, the way she compares herself to come against Świątek in the round robin. Like she was there. She was in the mix. And he was like, yeah, but she's not played a top player. The only top player she played was Jasmine Paolini, who was arguably kind of out of gas when they played. So I'm similar to you. Like she was good. I had a sneaking suspicion if she got out the group, she was going to win the tournament. She was going to make the semis. She was going to make the tournament. She was going to win the tournament. But the thing is, that group she was in was so competitive that there was no guarantee about it. The key question is, how would she hold up against Iga and Amanda? Because if she comes out of that group against Iga and Amanda, she's winning the tournament. But
Yeah.
that was why I was probably less kind of confident than you were about the result. But I wasn't surprised when she got going, because this has been brewing for a while. And I felt like it, like since Elena kind of had that really, really good match with Iga at the French, and then just falling short a few times like the North American hard court swing, and then again in the Asian swing, and then and finally winning the title back in Strasbourg, and then again in Ningbo, and getting things moving in Tokyo. Like there was a sense that Elena's kind of stringing it all together again, which she hasn't for a while. And so I was expecting a title at some point in the year. I thought it was going to be like one of the 1000s in Asia, but it's no surprise to me that she won this time. Like, it's been coming. She started to play like the Elena we recognize again, which makes things a whole lot more interesting for the tour, because it wasn't like it wasn't interesting before. But now you've got 5 players to be hyped about going into a tournament, potentially winning it,
Yeah.
minimum, let
Yeah.
alone what, 3 or 4 as it was before. So yeah, rolling Australia, you're going to have 6 legit title contenders there minimum.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Keys in the
And I
mix.
think that's what, yeah. Yeah. And I think that's what's really exciting about this whole end of year finals is that at least I left it thinking, wow, these matchups, these players, the sort of excitement they have created coming into next year in Australia, knock on wood, hopefully everyone's healthy and firing. But if they all are on top form, we could have one of the most exciting Australian Opens in a very, 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 very long time. And I don't want to jinx it or anything, but it's been really exciting watching these players. Before we move on to the ATP really, really quickly, we do want to talk about the doubles. I think, I don't know about you, but coming into this, I was like, Siniakova Townsend, like it was their title to lose. Like they are, and I think you could also say probably Paolini Arani because they're also a great doubles team. But I think the moment I at least realized that Paolini was sick, I kind of took them out of the running because it just didn't seem like she had anything to give. But we got a surprise winner, my girl, Kudermetova.
MVP, by the way, this tournament. MVP, like, she was amazing. Like, I watched the semi-final against Siniakova Townsend, where, it went to a deciding
Yeah.
tiebreak, and Kudermetova and Mertens won it, and then won the tournament against Babos and Stefani. And every single time I was watching, it was Kudermetova was just on fire. I'm not going to say she won that event single-handed, because Mertens was there and doing her thing as well, but Kudermetova was dialed in from the baseline or the net. Like, yeah, she was the star of this tournament, absolutely for sure. So, what can I say, Anastasia? Like, how dare you forget about Veronika Kudermetova?
And see, maybe that's the thing, because every time I sort of focus on her, she lets me down. And then every time I forget about her, she just comes up with a title. So maybe I should just sort of not talk about her. And Australian Open, here we come. Okay? You can do it, Kudermetova. You got it. This will probably be something we talk about like later on in one of our sort of roundup episodes later on, but I've already started hearing rumblings of doubles teams shifting and new partnerships and things like that. It's always a bummer, I think, for me, because I think the way these sort of doubles teams get more notoriety is when they stick together and win together, and they can kind of build that sort of legacy together. But I've already heard of some switches and stuff, so we'll probably talk about that in a later episode. But great to see Kudermetova and Mertens win a title. They also won Wimbledon this year, and it really was a great WTA Finals in the end. I think, just talking really quickly about the venue, like the crowds were bigger. It definitely wasn't, what it probably could be in a European city or a Mexico or anything. I saw a lot of posts. I think what I really loved was watching the players interact with the young fans. Like I always love things like that, and the WTA was posting a lot of that. So we'll see how this relationship of the WTA Finals keeps going with Riyadh. If they leave after next year, if they stay longer. But yeah, we'll see how that all goes.
Yeah,